4 races down and 9 to go. One driver has clearly showed their intent of going for the coveted Greg Moore Cup, and it's a rookie nonetheless. But any mistake from here on out, especially tonight, could do wonders in the championship hunt. Tonight, we find that out and also witness history at a crown jewel event. Good evening, folks, and welcome aboard another live production for Season 2 of the Canadian Motorsports Network DART Series on iRacing. We are back in the United States at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in Indianapolis, Indiana for Round 5 of 13 of the running for the second annual Greg Moore Cup. It's the third annual Indianapolis 250, the 2023 edition. And unfortunately, we were dealing with some technical difficulties for the past little bit hour or so. So we're gonna very quickly get through a very quick pre-race show here. So we'll show our faces here very quickly. So yes, again, hello everybody to the Canadian Motorsports Network broadcast booth. I'm your main voice here, Corbin MacAulay from Charlie Sears, Edward Island. On the other side, he's been here since the very beginning. It is Jordy Carraher from Alberta, Canada. So, because we're not going to get into any of those regular graphics or anything relating to points, results, and all that blah, 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 we're just going to kind of get into some quick general stuff because we do have to get underway with tonight's race, of course. But Jordy will very quickly just talk about here. 4 races in, we have a clear cutaway contender for the championship already in rookie Dylan Bahm, who has arrived and done absolutely everything he's had to do to become an immediate title favorite. Part of it is no surprise considering the momentum from his first career NASCAR Series victory in late September in the season finale at Homestead Miami Speedway. Between then and now, he has 4 wins in 5 races and has won 3 of the 4 races contested in Season 2 of DART so far. It's certainly been a chaotic run, too, as Alabama saw an early battle between him and veteran Corbin MacAulay until mistakes by MacAulay let the number 3 Toyota dominate the rest of the way. Long Beach saw him crash early. Texas was a heated battle with veteran Ty Higginbottom, where Baum barely beat him to the line and then crashed hard after the checkered flag. Canadian Tire was yet again another heated battle, this time with fellow Canadian Motorsports Network rookie, certainly not iRacing rookie though, Charlie Sears. Had Sears not made a mistake about halfway through the final lap, we could have seen a finish for the ages. But I think Baum may have just been very fine with that not being the case. But Jordy, all we know is he's making a name for himself, and he'll look to continue that by potentially putting his name in the history books as an Indianapolis 250 champion.
Yeah, I mean, hard to argue with 3 out of 4 wins so far. Obviously, Indy presents its own set of challenges. And I mean, he's drawn an ideal qualifying position. He's on that front row here tonight, which we'll get into very, very shortly, given, our time constraints. But, he's a guy who's shown pace just about everywhere he's gone, really. And as we mentioned, save for that incident at Long Beach, he's really established himself as the guy to beat here so far. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how tonight's test kind of works out for him here, whether it's going to present anything new from his side of things or whether he's just going to maintain the same pace. But, there's a hungry field all the way around him. And you know what, I think, Indy's a classic for a reason. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes tonight all the way through the field.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yes, we are moving on now from the DART Indy Ontario course at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park into the third annual Indy 250 here in Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It is half the length of the real-life race of the 500, so 100 laps around this 4-turn, 2.5-mile, 4-kilometer circuit with turns banked at 9.2 degrees and the straightaways completely flat. Qualifying took place last Tuesday night right after the DART Indy Ontario using a format where drivers completed 4 laps each and had their starting grid position decided by their average combined speed over the 4 laps. And at the final checker flag, Corbin MacAulay earned his first career Indy 250 pole with a blistering average speed of 239.812 miles per hour. And joining him on the front row, of course, will be rookie and 3-time winner so far Dylan Bahm, veteran Ty Higginbottom in there as well. We'll get to the rest of the starting grid as eventually we will get to these drivers, send a quick message to race control and get the engines fired up so we can go for this little, I guess, quote-unquote, rare of a 3-wide start here in the Canadian Motorsports Network DART Series. So, the third annual Indianapolis 250 will get underway very shortly. Stay tuned. And there you heard the engines getting fired up, of course, here for the third annual Indianapolis 250. And now we will get to the starting grid for this race. And unfortunately, even though we do have, yes, it is going to be 3 wide start, but on the ticker here, we still have the 2x2, but we're just going to kind of go through it as much as we can here, so we'll just go 2 rows as per usual here, Jordy. Starting on the front row, we have the number 17 Honda of Corbin MacAulay alongside the number 3 Toyota of Dylan Bahm, as was mentioned earlier. Where the heck am I supposed to go? There we go. And then starting third there on that front 3 row will be the number 97 Toyota of Ty Higginbottom. And then moving to row 2, we have the number 9 BMW of Jose Mercado, and joining him will be the number 64 of Darcy Ford and the number 1 of CD Magram.
Yeah, and then moving on to, I guess it'd be row 3 here. Jonathan Swainson will draw the inside starting 7th. Mike Marini will be in the middle starting at 8th in his number 12 Audi. On the outside of row 3 is starting 9th. Maybe a little bit of a surprise to see him this low down the field. The number 32 Chevy of Charlie Sears. Then we move on to row 4 where we have the series founder, number 2 Ford of Dan Cudmore starting in 10th. And alongside him, Kyle Knoll occupies the middle of row 4, starting in 11th in his number 15 Toyota. Hunter Young in the number 77 Chevy. He'll be on the outside of row 4. He starts 12th.
Indy, and now moving on, we have the number 80 of Mark Ouellette, and then the number 75 of Darcy Cudmore. Then the number 67 Vespa of Ivan Reynolds. Number 10 Rolls-Royce of Jason Butler. And then to round it all out, we have he didn't make it to qualifying. He was starting at the back, although we were seeing behind the scenes. He likes the idea of starting in the back, considering the 3 wide start. It is the number 7 of Andy Hertel, who unfortunately did not participate last week. Again, it was it wasn't Canadian Tire. He wasn't even here for Indy qualifying, so he'll try to make a very good return, I guess is the way to put it, knowing how consistent he was in the first couple races of the season. So he'll look to, again, this is a former Indy 250 champion also. He won the inaugural one back in March of 2022. It wasn't a points race, but again, he's still in the history books, so that's all that matters right there. And that is officially your starting grid for the Indy 250, the 3rd annual one.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting here. I don't know how many times we've said it kind of off mic, but in reference to the 3 wide start here, and you see Corbin MacAulay giving that pace car a bit of a wide berth as it makes its way around turn 4.
So indeed, the traditional 3 wide start for the real-life Indy 250. Here it's only half. It's the Indy 250. There's MacAulay getting the start. Here we go. The 3rd annual Indy 250 for Canadian Motorsports Network is underway.
Yeah, and was that Magram that I saw almost cutting it a little too tight even before getting to the start-finish line?
Maybe a little bit there, trying to get out of harm's way potentially. Oh, we already have a car on the wall.
You had to figure something was going to happen
it's
here.
The number 15 of Kyle Knoll going around. Looks like he was able to save the car, though. Yeah. Everyone else is still keeping it straight.
Yeah, I don't think he wanted to be on the road course configuration here so soon. Obviously, we were there for the test race, but look at this. Basically, almost single file formation here now.
Bahm led that
trying
one.
to make a move on the outside.
Bahm led the first lap of the 250 by barely over MacAulay. By the looks of it, and he used the high side to the advantage. The number 3, Dylan Bahm, your points leader in Season 2 of the DART Series, has taken the lead, and he's looking to continue his momentum. Again, 3 wins within 4 races. That one other race he didn't win, he DNF'd. So he'll try to keep that streak going up, and he'll also try to put his name in the history books as a crown jewel Indy 250 champion. But then again, though, man, it's half of the real life race. It's 100 laps. It's all going to be about patience and strategies.
Yeah, and I think it was actually Jose Mercado that I may have seen take that little cut into the grass on the start, because he's dropped 2 positions in the early going here from 4th to 6th.
Kyle Knoll on pit road after that incident that we saw earlier. I think we can try and go back and see what happened with him. There we go.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, there's contact.
Thankfully, nothing. Yeah, thankfully nothing worse. The number 15 is Mark Ouellette's also going to come down pit road as well. So that's 2 rookies in the pit lane.
Didn't quite catch what happened to the 80, if anything, there. Of course, Ouellette, of course, had that anomaly last week during the qualifying where it took us a little bit of time to figure out the actual speed of his first lap, because his pit stall was actually behind the start-finish line, so it counted the speed a little bit differently for him on lap 1. We eventually got it figured out, though.
A lot of the front runners still remaining in a close pack, but the top 4 right there with Darcy Ford trying to figure something. There goes MacAulay to the inside. He's going to take the advantage. Almost still side by side, but the 17 barely squeaks by through turn 1. 17, the pole sitter right back to the lead. Ty Higginbottom, CD Magram still following in from behind. MacAulay and Baum having no patience whatsoever. Meanwhile, everyone else behind is just kind of following along, waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think they necessarily mind just kind of being in that pack, as you say, just waiting for something to happen. And really, with the way that, this track kind of comes together, leading right now doesn't necessarily matter as much outside of, bonus points and things like that. But really, at this point, it's just kind of clocking the laps in. Really, it's going to be at the end where it really matters, not to oversimplify it, but it's especially relevant at a track like Indy.
Indeed. So, I mean, again, though, we weren't able to talk a whole lot about results and standings and everything, all that. Might as well maybe talk a little bit right now, at least verbally, maybe not visually. As Andy Hertel really making his way up from the final position there. He's up to 11th. He just passed the number 10 of a fellow familiar veteran there in Jason Butler. And Butler's going to try and get the run on him down the front straightaway.
It would be those two together, wouldn't it?
Yeah, indeed. But as I was saying, though, MacAulay, of course, winning the pole literally just, I don't know, an hour or 2 hours or something after crashing out late in the DART Indy Ontario due to a lap traffic incident with Darcy Cudmore. His luck has been a little bit rough to start off this season, especially coming off the heartbreak of falling short of his first ever NASCAR Series championship. Of course, Dylan Bahm getting the victory last week. Ty Higginbottom rounded at the top, or was one of the top 10 finishers. CD Magram finished 3rd. He qualified 5th and then 2 laps. Darcy Ford was another guy that had really bad luck. Looks like Jason Butler just got past Andy Hertel to take back the 11th position. A lot of stuff going on towards the back of the field here as well. Ivan Reynolds, Mike Marini also back there too. Yeah, Darcy Cudmore in front of them. So there's stuff kind of going on all over the place so far.
Yeah, kind of segmented. Here you see kind of a lead group of, what are we saying, 7, maybe 8 here before it gets split up. 7 for sure, and then there's Swainson kind of trailing behind.
Either is he's just kind of waiting to pounce or be patient, because again, it's quite a big pack that's starting to build up here. It was about 4 cars or so, but now I'm counting 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 cars, and then Swainson's just kind of, again, waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing about that, of course, is that big of a pack. Like, surely, Swainson's kind of in no man's land, but it doesn't look like it's going to take a whole lot for him to catch up and make it a full octagon worth here. Yeah, he's there basically now.
So now we're 9 laps into the third annual Indy 250. Corbin MacAulay still leading the way. He and Bahm have kind of gone back and forth for the lead so far. As Jonathan Swainson looks like he just got past Charlie Sears for the 7th position.
Yeah, that puts him right back into his grid slot to begin the evening.
MacAulay still leading the way, kind of a 4-car pack there, and a couple of guys still following in behind. Some other drivers with results from last week, of course. Jose Mercado continued his top 10 consistency yet again. Jonathan Swainson, another driver with bad luck back at Canadian Tire. Charlie Sears falling short of a victory. Again, he was right there with Dylan Bahm for most of the race, besides, of course, the green flag pit window. And then, unfortunately, about halfway through the final lap, he made a mistake getting into the back of the number 3, and that caused him to... Eventually, his car slowed, and he fell back. He was still able to round up in the 2nd position, but definitely not ideal for the 32, who had the speed to get the job done, but just falling a little short right there. There's Hunter Young in the 9th position, looking to gain a top 10. Daniel Cudmore is also coming off a top 10 position from last week.
And there you see Young trying to get back, or trying to get into this lead group here. We just saw Jonathan Swainson do it a few laps ago. No reason to suspect that Young couldn't potentially do the same here, as again, we just see just the sheer power of that toe. Just, you know, we talk about it in F1, just absolutely punching a hole through the air. And really that effect is just continuing down the field, and eventually Hunter Young's going to benefit from this, and he'll get dragged into this fight here as well.
Absolutely. So again, I was talking about results from last week. I also could perhaps mention what the point standings are also looking like right now. 50 points separating the number 3 and the number 32. Andy Hertel's absence dropped him to 3rd. He is 1 point back of Sears. Magrum 5 points behind Hertel. He also took a drop. Higginbottom remaining in 5th. Daniel Cudmore and Mike Marini made jumps. Both made jumps. They're now in a tie for 6th in points. Dylan Bahm, of course, also carries his 50-point lead into the Rookie of the Year battle. In the manufacturer standings, it's yet again almost another 50-point lead with Toyota continuing to shred the field. I mean, again, it's Dylan Bahm, Ty Higginbottom, and Kyle Knoll, all drivers for Toyota. So, I mean, it's no surprise whatsoever. It's practically Bahm carrying the way, but then Higginbottom just kind of, you know, being, I guess, quiet, quote-unquote. Like the quiet, the good quiet. I don't know how to properly describe. Maybe you have a better term than I do.
Yeah, I had to briefly make sure I wasn't quiet. I briefly had my mic muted while I was coughing there. But, I mean, quiet isn't necessarily a bad thing, though. As long as you're there in the end, like, doesn't matter how you get there. Just get there.
So, yeah, Chevrolet, BMW, and Rolls-Royce are currently in a three-way battle in the runner-up spot. The United States still absolutely destroying Canada in the Nations Cup with a 206-point lead. I mean, quite frankly, the top 5 guys from the United States were Baum, Sears, Magrum, Knoll, and Mercado. And then Canada was Marini, Cudmore, Butler, Reynolds, and Ouellette. So, I mean, that when you hear those name differences... Whenever we say that's quite a difference, that's a complete understatement.
Yeah, I mean, just, again, based on the sheer performance, ironically, at Canadian Tire, the Americans, they wanted to get some revenge for 18-12, I guess. They just absolutely took over. Yes, kids, that's a Civil War reference.
Yeah, you're always there with the history lessons, and then you come in with that one.
I mean, you had to go somewhere.
It's all in nice and humor and everything.
I mean, you do have to break it up a little bit here, especially now that, you know, it seems like the field has established a bit of a pattern here, although Sears creeping up to 5th. That's something I didn't quite see coming after he fell back to 8th there a few laps back.
Yeah, he's quietly making his way up there. I mean, it's no surprise either. He's got the speed, although, again, Yeah, the ovals have been a bit concerned. I mean, this is only our, quite frankly, this is only our second oval. Actually, yeah, no, he's making his way. Oh my gosh. He's making his way up to third. He just moved up 2 spots. Or he's trying to.
Now Charlie's coming out to play.
Okay, now it's going to be just 1 because Higginbottom was able to stay ahead. I think Sears might have backed off just a little bit right there, which was probably the most fair move possible in that situation. But, yeah, like the first oval we ran was Texas, and I don't think Sears got the pole on that one, but I think he qualified somewhere decent, I think, back at Texas, and then in that lap 1 crash, or guess you could arguably say it wasn't even a lap 1 crash, it was right at the first green flag of the race. And
did he just pull it off there?
And he wrecked out, and yeah, he just pulled off the move. Now he's up to third, and would you look at that? Look at this podium that we have now here. MacAulay, Bahm, and Sears. Danger everywhere.
Man, he just absolutely slingshotted through turn 1 to make that move. And do we have... Oh, that was someone making a move. Never mind.
I think Jose Mercado just got past Darcy Ford for the 6th position. Again, Mercado still has yet to get a top 5 this season. Again, knowing how consistent he's been within the top 10... That's kind of the next step for the number 9, who, again, we remember kind of how he was during the NASCAR Series season where, again, that transition to iRacing was a little rough with him. We've known him as an aggressive driver throughout his tenure, but, again, though, it's quote-unquote good to have those kind of drivers, and sometimes it, works to perfection. And so far in the DART Series, it's done just that. As I was saying, he's now going to move up into the top 5. Darcy Ford is going to take advantage of Magram, who's now fallen back from 4th to 7th.
Yeah, there's a little bit of irony in that one. Of course, Mercado and Magram teammates, and the Mercado
Sears
punched a hole. Wow, what a battle this is! Sears just hammer time on the outside.
3rd to 1st. He is absolutely trying. He tried to use the high line against MacAulay. No, he's gonna get close with Bob. My gosh!
Ooh.
Still side by side down the straightaway. They are also towards the back as Darcy Ford and Jose Mercado still going at it.
Well,
still side by side
wants to make this a 4-way fight for the lead.
There's nothing else better.
I completely agree. We just have to remember that we're not even a quarter distance yet.
No, we're still not. We're only on lap now. It's going to be 22 out of 100 in the 3rd annual Indianapolis 250 here. MacAulay's still been leading the way. If we look at the driver info tab so far, he's led 17 laps. Bahm has 4. Sears, again, still has yet. So it's been MacAulay the whole way, the pole sitter so far. But again, seeing how this race has been so far, I don't think we can call an official winner yet. We still have to go through pit stops later on, too.
Oh, absolutely not. You'd be foolish to try and predict a winner right now.
So Sears is going to fall back to the 3rd position. MacAulay and Bahm continuing the way in the top 2 as we see Ivan Reynolds looks like he's going to make his way down to pit road. A little bit of a kind of a wonky entrance right there. Down on the, I guess, the quote-unquote apron through turns 3 and 4. He's going to make his way down the number 67 Vespa.
Yeah, I guess that'd be the first guy in terms of a quote-unquote regular stop, as in not like crash influenced or anything like that.
Looks like we might have some lap traffic coming up here as Mark Ouellette is making his way through turn 2. And there's the field.
Oh, yeah, there they go.
Kyle Knowles still on pit road, 7 laps down. Mark Ouellette is 15 laps down, so he must have been in his box for a while. But yeah, this pack is really coming here as we're getting a battle for 3rd now. Sears and Higginbottom going at it. Sears is going to drop back and squeeze in between the 97 and the 9 for the 4th position.
So, yeah, we've seen a lot of stuff happen already, but in a funny way, even though we've had all the action, it doesn't feel nearly as chaotic as Texas did. Obviously, a lot more room to operate here at Indy compared to the much smaller Texas Speedway. But, yeah, very intriguing regardless as Reynolds rejoins here, just kind of trying to stay out of the way of the pack.
So good on him right there to stay out of harm's way. Another battle here. Here comes Mercado for the 4th position against Sears. Oh my gosh, Darcy Ford being really aggressive behind the 9. Magrum also following him behind. Mark Goulette's going to have to make sure he gets out of the way. Good job by the number 80. That could have been far worse.
Yeah, I was almost surprised, or I'm surprised that I didn't see a front wing come off of that one, because Darcy Ford, as he was trying to find space, ooh, that had to be tight.
And we have to remember Texas, we got that late caution because of, well, lap traffic fiasco involving the 80. Again, not saying blame on him or whatever. It was kind of a bit of a freak accident, basically. He was just kind of going at his now. I thought he was going to... That was a little weird right there. But anyways, yeah, just a car trying to... I don't recall who it was exactly, but someone behind him. It was just, again, it was kind of a freak situation, and really no one really had any other choice, and who let the driver that was behind the 80 really had no other choice other than to get into the back of him. So just unfortunate circumstances right there. But I mean, again, if we talk positively about the 80, he's still done everything he can every race to improve himself, and that's what we love to see of the drivers, especially rookies that come into the Canadian Motorsports network.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's half the battle as well, is, again, just making sure that it's a character that fits within the series as well. Like, the driving ability is one thing, but if you're... I can't think of the politically correct way to put this, but, like, you know what I'm getting at in terms of the kind of person we'd have in mind. And, you know, Mark Goulette absolutely has fit the bill. We've talked about him, you know, constantly being a guy who's ready and willing to learn, I should say. And yeah, that will serve him well going forward. As I see someone coming into the pits, is that Young or Marini?
I think that might be a Cudmore. No, it's Mike Marini.
I was going to say it was white and red. I knew that.
Jeez, Jonathan Swainson really almost had his right rear wheel right along the outside wall coming off of turn 2. Is we're going to get a new leader into 3. Dylan Bahm back to the lead. It's the rookie versus veteran battle like we saw back at the season opener between the 3 and the 17 early on in the race. We're getting a repeat of that, except now it's on an oval.
Yeah, MacAulay might have something to say about it going into 1 here, as he switched back out of 4. And there he is back in the lead again.
The number 17 back to the race lead. The pole sitter, of course, his first, finally a good run here within the Indy 250 of some capacity after, again, the past 2, he's had a lot of rough luck. And he's looking to turn it around, especially, too, with the advantage of the iRacing service. And we all know about his decade-long experience on the service, as he and Baum still going at it here through turns 3 and 4. Daniel Cudmore now on pit road.
And
MacAulay led that one.
Yeah, barely, as again he deployed that same switchback out of 4 to just barely nab it at the line.
So most of the top 10 looking relatively recognizable right now. Butler up into the 8th position there. Magrum has fallen all the way back to 9th after originally being around 3rd and 4th earlier. Hunter Young at the bottom of the top 10. Not bad to see from him, as, again, close racing for the lead. The 3 and the 17 are just swapping back and forth with these runs. And from this angle, we're just going to see yet again who's going to lead this one. I could not, for the love of God, tell you who led that one.
I feel like Bond might have grabbed it by the tip of the front wing. Like, it'd be as close to a dead heat as you can think of, but oh, this is interesting. MacAulay semi going toward the inside to cover that off into 3. That's where Baum kept switching him back before, similar to what MacAulay's been doing on that front straight going across the start finish.
Now Baum's going to... Yep, now the 3's going to decide to use the inside line.
And
he'll lead that one. Yeah, he led that one. Looks like Jonathan Swainson, the number 99 rookie, just got past Darcy Ford, and it looks like Kyle Knoll just came off the timing screen here. It looks like the number 15, again, unless he pops back out later, that might very well be the first DNF of the third annual Indianapolis 250, which is very unfortunate, especially going back to the results of last week. Actually, no, now that I think about it, I can just go, oh, here comes the 17 to pit road.
Okay, so I wonder if we're
and the 64
window here.
Oh yeah, Kyle Knoll finished 4th last week, so yeah, that's very unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, again, he was able to find his way toward somewhat the front of the field. He and Marini had a great battle last week at Canadian Tire, it has to be said, and then Knoll kind of, further solidified that with, a solid qualifying performance too, as I believe that's Mangrum in the back as well.
Yeah, so a couple of familiar duos from the NASCAR series coming in together is, yeah, this is practically a green flag pit window right here. A bunch of guys are coming in. Swainson's now in. Darcy Cudmore is in. Andy Hertel is in. Hunter Young is in.
And notable there, Darcy Ford and Jason Butler both jumping Corbin MacAulay out of pit lane.
I think MacAulay might have had an issue there entering his pit box, because I did see a little bit of smoke there, and then his car finally lifted. I don't know for sure what happened there, but that'll be definitely interesting to keep an eye on. Is here comes the 3 and the 32. Statistically penalty?
There? Oh, if that's MacAulay, absolutely it would be a penalty.
Oh, that always is something that tends to riddle the number 17, especially in key races. The good old... at least if it is a speeding penalty, then yes.
I'd have to think so. Again, coming in the following lap, no way it couldn't be.
Well, yeah, we just look at the pit stop times, quite frankly, and... yeah.
Yeah, certainly longer as we see Higginbotham coming in from the lead.
So 15.90 seconds right there is now Ty Higginbotham and Jose Mercado are going to pit from the race lead.
And that should complete the cycle on this first round of green flag pit stops as Bahm cycles back into the lead.
Yeah, we'll get a better idea right here. Yeah, there you go. Pretty much everyone has cycled through except, I believe, Ivan Reynolds.
He pitted much earlier, though.
And Daniel Cudmore seems to be maybe on a different strategy than a couple of these guys, which could be interesting to keep an eye on later. I mean, again... you would know this, Jordy. Both of the past 2 Indy 250s, Daniel Cudmore has finished runner-up both times.
Yeah, how many times have we spoken about it in relation to the 2, and I guess in the case of finishing P2 in both of those instances, just the fact that he's probably one of the more patient drivers out there, regardless of what he happens to be behind the wheel of from one week to the next. And... ultimately, again, we talked about it earlier, Indy's a track where patience can be rewarded right up until that moment where you've got to make your move within, say, the last 2-3 laps, maybe even less.
Here comes Darcy Ford to the inside of Ty Higginbotham. He will move himself up into the 4th position. And right now, after all that cycling around after that window, Dylan Bahm leading the way by 4 seconds over Charlie Sears. Jonathan Swainson, interestingly, has moved himself up into the 3rd position. He was quietly making his way up from the bottom of the top 10. And it's kind of a 4-car pack going at it, the 99, 64, 97, and the 9 all together. Jason Butler kind of quietly approaching from behind in the number 10. C.D. Mangrum, Andy Hertel, and Hunter Young all rounding out the top 10. Daniel Cudmore, the last car on the lead lap. Darcy Cudmore, I guess the lucky dog if we were to get a caution. Corbin MacAulay is going to have to try and make his way up and make something happen. Because right behind him, he has C.D. Mangrum and Andy Hertel. So after all that close racing we saw before that green flag pit window, it's now a bit of a different story as Dylan Bahm appears to have, I guess, quote-unquote, perfected his green flag pit stop. So, again, unless guys start to catch up, I would imagine there will be another window later in the race, but we'll probably need a caution if we want to rack everyone else up. Again, though, there's still plenty of time for things to happen. We're still, as we come this time around, it'll be 10 laps until halfway through the third annual Indianapolis 250, but again, just based on recent weeks, it's just another case of the number 3 of Dylan Bahm just being the class of the field.
It is, but as you say, still a long way to go here. And again, the fact that you're seeing this level of competition 3 through 6, I wouldn't be entirely surprised to see them swallow up our lead too, especially, Sears is very much within striking distance here for this quartet. So if it becomes a group of 5, again, I wouldn't be surprised if, that kind of sheer togetherness, I guess you could call it, kind of like the peloton in the Tour de France, effectively swallowing up any kind of would-be breakaway drivers.
And now, considering the current situation, I'm a little blank with what I want to say next. I was talking a little bit about history earlier, Jordy. You want to kind of maybe give some history lessons on what it was like whenever it was just you with the past Indy 250s? Because again, though, this is my first time doing one of these. It was you both past times back last year. In March and May, I believe it was.
Yeah, that time frame about lines up. Obviously we're kind of figuring everything out on the Project Cars side of things. You can see, a lot of the track data that we can see obviously in our custom-built leaderboard here, but it felt like kind of from my side, maybe a touch on the clunky side. We certainly didn't have weather info like that. But, overall, again, I think it was a different experience because also the network didn't feel maybe as reliable as iRacing has typically been. So that certainly played a role in the experience as well. And, it's another platform where really a lot of guys were still trying to figure it out. And, not having that reliability didn't necessarily help many people's cases, and I feel like Dan Cudmore would be able to speak to this a little bit better as well. There were certain hoops that I had to jump through, I know, on the race control side of things just to make sure I could make things work properly, as obviously I wasn't a driver in the series. But I think all that to say, I think I'm happy that history is in fact history, and we're just able to move forward here and enjoy kind of a more complete product here and, a more enjoyable racing experience in and of itself.
Absolutely. So, Dylan Bahm, you can see everyone else kind of behind him right there, but Bahm has been extending his lead ever so slightly every lap. He's now 6 seconds ahead here of this other pack as Darcy Ford has just moved his way up into the second position over Charlie Sears. Jonathan Swainson, Ty Higginbottom following in behind. Jose Mercado also ready to pounce here soon. Jason Butler about 2.5 seconds back.
Yeah, something about this particular place. It has a way of bringing people together. And like just a couple laps ago, I was saying it felt like that 3 through 6 group could catch up to Charlie Sears, and sure enough, that's what's happened. Now it's a group of 5 setting off in pursuit of car 3, which, that seems like it'll be a not nearly as academic a proposition as we saw just a moment ago. But again, strength in numbers, so we'll see how these 5 can work together to, pull themselves back into the overall conversation.
As we're talking about that, here goes, wow, that was a very, Close maneuver right there as Ty Higginbottom sliding in between Swainson and Mercado there for the 5th position. Notably on the race summary, I did notice Higginbottom has the fastest lap of the race so far. As speaking of fast, there's Jose Mercado making the fast maneuver around the number 97. So the number 9 to the 5th position. Again, as we were talking earlier, he's got that top 10 consistency this year, but he still has yet to put himself in the top 5 yet this season. And as soon as he does that, then he'll try to make his way onto the podium, and then I would even argue he might try and put himself into an opportunity to win one of these races later in the season. Again, that lead with the number 3 continues to just be, it did kind of go down a little bit right there, but it remains around the 6-second mark or so on average. Meanwhile, Darcy Ford has started to gain some distance by almost a second over Sears. Swainson, Mercado, and Higginbottom still kind of remaining in a bit of a close battle right there. So again, the leader is kind of far out, but we are getting some interesting racing from about 2nd towards 6th. And there actually is a lot. There's a pack going on right here, even as I believe that's Ivan Reynolds right there. That would be Daniel Cudmore. Yeah, Reynolds dropping back because he's a lap down. That'd be Daniel Cudmore, Hunter Young, and then Mark Ulep for. Sorry, no, who would. That'd be Darcy Cudmore in behind them. 11 cars now in the lead lap as Corbin MacAulay is now the first car a lap down. So if we do get a caution, then he would be the lucky dog. Yeah, remind me, lucky dog is a thing in this, right?
I know that came up as a discussion a couple weeks ago.
Okay, the way I'll say it is, if there is a lucky dog, then he would be it. I'm surprised I don't fully have that knowledge. What is wrong with me?
Well, I mean, you were trying to figure out technical knowledge here before just to get us on the air in the first place, which I'm glad we did.
No, we practically had to.
Well, I mean, it happened. That's the main thing.
Indeed, we're just happy to be here as now it is Swainson Higginbottom going at it here for the 5th position. The 97 falls back. The 99 advances ahead. And we can officially say now that we could have said a lap earlier, technically speaking, but the number 3 of Dylan Bahm is going to be the halfway leader in the 3rd annual DART Indianapolis 250. We're officially halfway, or I guess we were the last lap again. Technically speaking, officially speaking, but we're halfway. Jordy, thoughts?
I mean, obviously the complexion of the race did change a little bit in that first round of pit stops because how many times have we said it in other series? The Corbin MacAulay penalty has him down the field a little bit further than perhaps we would have expected, because obviously he and Baum were inseparable effectively on the track in that first stint. 17, it'll be very interesting to see what he can do, if he can effectively drive the wheels off of that thing, as we see Higginbottom making a move up into 4th. But as I said before, I think even though Baum has that big lead right now, I don't think it's going to last the entire way. I think you're going to see the pack slowly start to come together here. Again, we saw it just a moment or not too long ago with 3 through 6 ultimately swallowing up Charlie Sears, who was second at the time. I think eventually over the course of time, they'll do the same with Dylan Bahm. But again, if we're expecting one more green flag pit window here, there's still opportunities for things to change moving forward. But I mean, it's been a pretty entertaining opening half to this point.
So Higginbottom, Mercado, and Swainson continuing to do their little back and forth action here from 4th through 6th. Also a pack going on back here is that C.D. Magram, Andy Hertel. Actually, yeah, that'd be the lap car. Corbin MacAulay actually in front of them. Ever so slightly, the lead has been shrinking, as now it was about 5.9. Now it's at, 5.8, 5.7. Ever so slightly shrinking. Not a whole lot. But the 64 is trying to make a charge of some kind. Is actually, speaking of that, now Sears is making a charge just like we saw earlier. Now he's starting to catch back up to the number 64. Originally, Ford had quite the advantage over him, but now the 32 seems to have found something in his car to make his way back up to the 64.
But ultimately, that might not be the worst thing either, because when Bahm was pulling away, that's when Darcy Ford and Charlie Sears were both kind of in no man's land, effectively. Kind of running their own races, not really threatening one another. But now that there's a duo here, potentially they can work together to close that gap to Dylan Bahm at the head of the field. And yeah, don't forget about this trio, potentially quartet, coming. As I say, still, a decent number of miles to go. And yeah, I don't think anyone's really throwing in the towel here just yet, and rightfully so.
And because of this pack racing, I think that's actually caused them to start falling back in behind Ford and Sears here. Because if we look at these angles, yeah, they have started to completely fall back from these two, who are now going to get into their little battle here for the second position. Dylan Bahm continuing to just dominate the way all alone on the back straightaway.
Yeah, as I say, right now, still kind of running away from everyone, as that's Reynolds in for his second stop, I believe.
That would be correct.
Yeah, and he was kind of the outlier in the first round of stops as well, as he came in about 10 to 15 laps earlier than everybody else. So that's because I'm watching this in potato vision again. We are on lap what right
58.
now? Okay, so if we say, 35, 40 lap stint for Reynolds, we're probably looking at low 70s being the second pit window for the majority of the field.
So Reynolds with a 10.78 pit stop time, as he's the first car to come down. Yeah, so Bahm just hit the line there. Ford and Sears are now just about to hit it. As again, the lead's starting to still kind of slightly shrink. It's now 5.5 seconds. It was originally 6, maybe about 10 laps ago or so, as Ford and Sears continue to kind of maybe bring themselves here into a group to try and then go after the number 3. Meanwhile, the 99, 97, and 9 still continue to do their little thing, as the 10 is starting to ever so slightly catch up to them. There's this pack back here that's starting to catch up as well with the 17, the 1, and the 7.
I mean, for Mangrum and Hertel, that's not a bad guy to have punch in the air in front of you there. The guy who, was 3 to 4/10 of a mile per hour on average, faster than anybody in qualifying. Straight line? Yeah, Corbin MacAulay is a decent guy to be behind in this situation.
I would said 5.5 seconds. Now it's almost at 5. So they're catching up. But again, this second green flag, oh my goodness, I think the 64 may have had a bit of a wiggle there going through turn 3. Again, too, knowing if I look at the weather info tab again, the track temperature actually just went up a degree right there. So it's slick as heck. But these guys are they've been somehow able to manage, as I saw a car on pit road. Yes, that is the number 12 of Mike Marini making his way down. 2 laps down now.
Yeah, and again, he was one of the earlier guys to stop in the first round as well. So slightly different strategy, maybe trying to do an undercut to get some track position, although being a couple of laps down won't necessarily help that. But, maybe if something happens toward the end, maybe that, again, gets him into a position where he potentially can get back into the pack and back into the equation.
And there's Marini coming off, as you can see, Dylan Bahm, and then in the distance back there was Ford and Sears.
And Bahm might not actually mind that, because, again, these last however many laps since this green flag stint started, the second one, he's basically just been, again, running his own race effectively. And, that's going to give a little more exertion to that number 3, as Swainson looks like he's making a move.
Higginbottom as well.
Higginbottom.
So they both jump Oh my goodness.
Whoa. And is that MacAulay trying to get in?
That was Mercado and Reynolds getting very close together right there as the 9 was trying to get past that lap car. Somehow they were able to get through that as Daniel Cudmore is now going to make his way down pit road on lap 63 of 100. And we can tell right here, yep, it's even more. Ford and Sears are catching up. Now it's 4.7 behind the number 3 between the 3 and the 64. 99 and 97 real close there as well.
Kind of like I was just saying, like, it feels like, you know, front running, it does take a toll on these cars no matter what. And, you know, ultimately, a little bit of help isn't necessarily a bad thing. So, you know, having Marini, I guess in that case, punch a bit of a hole for Dylan Bahm to have it, you know, not be as big of an exertion for the car. Maybe that helps him, but right now, that lead is peeling away here. And, you know, like I said before, I feel like this pack's going to come together again before the end.
We'll just have to wait and see here as we're now on lap 65 of 100. Might as well give this a quick time to shout out our sponsors, the Holland Hurricanes, Kyle's Fried Chicken, Rampage Coffee Co., GTR, TrackHams22.com, who provide us with these custom cameras for all the races that we do here within the Canadian Motorsports Network. It's been done all ever since we transitioned to iRacing, so we thank them very much as Darcy Ford makes his way down pit road, and hopefully he didn't just get a speeding penalty right there because that was a very interesting entry. Also, there is Piping Kettle Soup Co. and GSG SG Vinyl 3D, and of course every other sponsor and partnership with every other individual car here within the Canadian Motorsports Network DART series on iRacing for Season 2, so we'd like to thank everyone involved. We wouldn't be doing this without you, of course. And
there's MacAulay in for his third stop.
The green flag pit window, the late one, is underway as the 64 went in there. 10.53 seconds, MacAulay in for his stop.
Yeah, a little bit longer still. Significantly longer.
Repairs? Maybe something to do with that?
I didn't think he'd been affected by anything as Mangram's now in. Yeah, that gap dropping down to 3.3 between Bahm and Sears, and both of them still have to come in.
Yeah, MacAulay almost approaching 50 seconds right there, so...
Well, there goes 49.87. So a little over a lap worth of time in the pit lane.
Jason Butler now making his way down as Mangrum got a 9.65 pit stop time.
Neat and tidy from the numero uno.
The 10 with a very interesting entry into his pit box. He could decide to give the wall a little bit of a kiss there with the left front tire. Hunter Young now making his way down. Butler is going to get a 10.68 time, and that fell, unfortunately, he fell short of the nice number, which I'm sure for a guy like him he would have absolutely loved.
But I believe that's our current lap number.
That is correct, actually, so that's fair enough.
So a nice time for our leader to come into pit lane.
So, yes, indeed. Hunter Young, 11.82 seconds. Dylan Bahm in his pit box now. Jonathan Swainson also making his way down. And Bahm is going to have a time of 10.10. The 99 is going to get 11.05.
Yeah, so a little bit longer as we see Darcy Cudmore coming in. Charlie Sears in now. We'll see what kind of a hammer he was able to put down on his in lap.
31 laps to go in the third annual DART Indianapolis 250, the first ever one on iRacing. Andy Hertel now making his way down. So let's see where the 32 gets with his pit stop time as Darcy Cudmore gets a 10.98. Sears is going to get a 10.15. Side by side out of the pit road.
Yeah, don't hit each other, boys.
Andy Hertel with a 9.82, so Sears is going to drop in behind the 75, although, again, pace-wise, the 32 is going to want to get in front. He just put his right side tires into the grass.
Yeah, Sears wants to get a bit of a move on here, to say the very least. Looks like Bahm's going to come out ahead regardless, as Sears just barely...
Ooh, right in front of Ford.
Okay, which I think is actually a position swap.
That is.
But, yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how this shakes out, as this is going to complete our green flag pit cycle here. Higginbotham and Mercado both in.
Higginbotham with a 9.88, Jose Mercado with a 9.60. So very close times between those two. They're going to come out almost together. And that pretty much does it for the window, as Dylan Bahm is going to lead the way by 9 seconds.
Yeah, that's a sizable chunk, to say the very least. Seems like Bahm just absolutely picked the right time to come in, kind of balanced out any, potential undercut or overcut opportunities. And yeah, 9 seconds here, 28 laps, somewhere in that ballpark. That is going to be a very tall order for this field to claw back. And again, oh! There's the caution. Okay. Oh! Yeah, I'd love to see who got the side swipe on that. I was just about to say the 2 laps down makes more sense given the length of the previous pit stop.
Ooh, Ivan Reynolds with heavy damage.
Oh. And I mean, obviously the caution came out prior to that secondary incident involving presumably Reynolds and MacAulay. But yeah, that is another ugly end to the evening. And what was I just saying about it being a tall order for the field to catch up to Dylan Bahm? Forget all that.
So we're going to have to get an idea here of what just happened.
Yeah, it looks like he's...
Oh, he got on the wall.
Yeah, that is self-inflicted there.
Oh, this will be a good angle.
And...
Ooh.
I think that was Butler that hit him, actually.
Oh,
whoa. There goes Reynolds.
Wow.
Just kind of, secondary carnage almost. Oh, no, I think is that Ouellette?
That is the number 80 of Mark Ouellette.
Yeah, almost like he was trying to... Was he trying to pit or just take avoiding action? But that's definitely Butler who hits. And that just triggers a chain reaction.
Just a little too fast there for the number 67. And the number 10, Jason Butler, looks like he really had nowhere to go.
Yeah, like, you see it, and yeah, that's the front tire, and yeah, that beautiful Senna-inspired helmet. That's potentially the end of the 10s night as well. And a little bit of carnage as we see it again from MacAulay's angle. There's that little tap. At that speed, it really doesn't take much to lose control. And yeah, there's the secondary impact. And yeah, to say the very least, that is absolutely, well, I guess technically after the second spin, that is the way you want to be facing. But otherwise, you don't want to be looking at the wall.
So, unfortunately, the 3rd annual Indianapolis 250 pole sitter is out of the race. We saw him doing well early on, then it looks like it appears it was a penalty that got him first. And then later on, maybe it was repairs or something, because I don't know how it could have been maybe another penalty. And then he gets in the wall, and what do you know? Oh, boy.
gonna say, is that Reynolds at least gonna try it?
Well, yeah, there is. I think it was said earlier behind the scenes here. Fast repair broken. I don't even know.
I mean, I was operating on the presumption that we were like NASCAR and that we didn't have the fast repair enabled.
I have no idea. Oh, that'll be interesting to know here. If you look at the laps since the last pit, because there were cars that pitted. I mean, I imagine there were that pitted under that yellow flag because we were going through all the replays. If you look, Ford, Magram, Cudmore, Young, even Marini is in there as well. I mean, Marini's 2 laps down, but still. There's a couple of guys right there that might have an advantage.
I mean, it could be, but it's also a little bit of a wash given that the green flag window had pretty much just ended in the lap or two preceding that caution coming out. So that's why you see the other, tire counts being as low as they are, or lap counts, I should say. If it was, a situation where it was, say, Ivan Reynolds, for example, had he not gotten caught up, then it would make a bit of a difference, certainly, because he came in about 10 to 15 laps later than, or earlier, I should say, than the majority of the field. But ultimately, it's almost, as I said, everything's a bit of a wash here at this point, but we're certainly about to find out what everything looks like because our pace car just pulled in.
25 laps to go in the 3rd annual DART Indianapolis 250. We're back underway with Dylan Bahm leading the way as, oh my gosh, there was a lot of close racing going on back towards the back of the field. But you were saying earlier, everyone trying to get back together in a pack. Golden potential right here.
Yeah, Dylan Bahm's doing his best to say na-na to that. But, I mean, the fact that everyone's together, we'll see how it goes. It looks like he got a tremendous restart, it has to be said. But, yeah, it'll be, I think, significantly more difficult for him to build out a gap now that everyone's pretty much on level footing here.
Especially some of those guys that may have an advantage towards the back with that that last pit. I don't know for sure. We'll just have to see as the race goes on. Number 3 continues to look almost perfect here. Wow, would you look at this? The number 7 of Andy Hertel is making his way back up. He's into the top 5. He's in the 4th position. He's looking to make a run here. And again, this is a previous Indy 250 winner. So even though his win did come on Project Cars on the console side, this guy's still been consistent and excellent for his kind of style and his kind of racing here within the Canadian Motorsports Network, especially here on iRacing. He's been Mr. Consistency so far this season. Only a couple podiums, though, no wins just yet, but if there's any time to get there, now is the time. I mean, we were kind of talking about that pack racing thing. Sears, Higgins, yeah, everyone's starting to pack up now, especially the top 4. As here comes the 32. The 2 cars that we saw battle together for almost the entire DART Indy Ontario last week at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park are back together as we are nearing 20 laps to go.
Yeah, this is going to be good here at the end, and, obviously...
there he goes!
Yeah, there he goes indeed. Bahm holding that inside line through 1.
Woo!
And yeah, we'll see if Sears makes a dive or thinks better of it coming through 2. Looks like he'll just kind of hold station right now. But yeah, that group, it's 6 cars now. They all try to go high. Bahm stays low. And okay, so if this is going to be the standard for the next 20 to 21 laps, oh boy, I'm looking forward to this.
We are in for a thriller of an ending here in the 3rd annual Indianapolis 250. Here comes the 32. He's barely going to lead that lap, I think.
And I think
he's going to take it.
The outside.
He uses the outside. Charlie Sears to the lead. He's looking for his 2nd win this season. Again, the lone winner outside of Dylan Bahm so far. Back at the Grand Prix of Long Beach. That was round 2. Here comes the 3 back to the inside. We're going to have a 6-car pack that's going to go at it here towards the end. Again, there is another second pack going on behind. That would be Darcy Ford and CD Magram looking to make their way up. And I was seeing here in the stream chat, it sounds like the 17 got another speeding penalty, so that's officially what that was. And he is the second DNF of the race, unfortunately. So the pole sitter officially out of the third annual Indy 250 as Charlie Sears taking the lead right there. 20 laps to go. Down the back straightaway, 6 cars in a pack together. Bahm to the outside.
This is going to be so good.
Bahm retakes the lead, clearing the way on the high side, but we all know that run that drivers get from second on back. Out of turn 4, there it is. Sears going to lead that one, but here comes the 97 with some momentum. He's going to stay back as these two remain side by side through turns 1 and 2. Sears with a bit of a wiggle. Still trying the high side, maybe always a little too high. Oh, that's going to give the advantage to Higginbottom and Hertel. 3 wide.
Yeah, I don't know if there was like maybe a missed shift there for Sears or something, but yeah, the fact that he's dropping now to 5th.
Oh my
after
gosh.
Leading the lap to start. Something clearly off coming out of turn 2 there for the 32. As again, we're now at, it'll be 18 at the line.
Oh, would you look at this? Andy Hertel all the way up from 4th to 1st. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Well, I mean,
maybe.
This would be like we conveniently forget he started all the way at the back of the pack.
Yeah, no. Yeah, if this were to be a win, it'd be 17th to 1st, last to 1st. This would be incredible for a previous Indy 250 winner. This is a guy, again, this is the inaugural winner of the race versus the guy who's won 3 of the 4 races this season in DART. And wow, they're close. And would you look at this? Jonathan Swainson's making his way up too.
And they're coming
going to
be
3. Traffic. 3 wide for the lead to 1. Bahm's going to back out, almost contact Jonathan Swainson to the race lead.
Oh, man, that was a hell of a sequence there, it has to be said. And yeah, on this back straight, you have to figure Reynolds has to make a move here at some point.
Oh, Ivan Reynolds, yeah, get out of the way, man. Get out of the way.
It's incredibly hard to going through a turn, of course. But yeah, you definitely don't want to be hogging the racing line, and there he goes. He stays high.
Good on him right there, but again, the 7 and the 3 are going to be catching up with all their might. Look at the run that the 7 has. He almost dove it down to the inside. He's going to back out of that one, though. Dylan Bahm right in behind. All I can say is if you're in the race lead at this point, you can't get away with it. Oh my gosh. A lot of close racing. Jose Mercado almost bump drafting the number 97 at Higginbottom. They're all together in a 3-car pack here as Charlie Sears is in the 4th position. He's trying to make his way up after the earlier screw up.
Well, that's the thing about Indy here. We talked about it a little bit earlier. It's almost a disadvantage to be in the lead. Not unlike, again, we literally saw it at F1 in Mexico off of the starts yesterday in real life. And, you know, just the sheer tow or the slipstream, whatever you want to call it, it's very, very powerful here, especially with these Dallara IR01s. And now you see Swainson kind of punching the air. Hertel's going to try out on the outside here.
And it works. It does work. I'm not going to say perfection because, quite frankly, the 99 to 3 are going to have massive runs here coming off of turn 4 as we're going to be coming to 14 laps to go in the 3rd annual Indy 250 side by side down the front straightaway. And the advantage will go to the 7 on the inside. The 3 waiting 2 pounds here on these 2 guys. And I'm not going to lie. I'm really wondering if we might get a 3. If we get a 3 wide photo finish, that would be the icing on the cake.
I mean, I don't think you can limit it to 3 either right now. Like, Sears, Higginbotham, and Mercado, I still think they're going to factor in somehow.
And I'm going to be wondering at any point if any of those packs behind them are going to start to catch up as now Hertel back to the outside. Bahm going to follow in behind. Almost contact right there on the right front of Swainson and the left rear of Hertel, the 7. Right back to the lead.
And you know Swainson desperately wants these points, because I know I said it last week. If the poor guy didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. But look at him right now running P2, just as he did during the Indy Roval or road course test session. Something about this place brings about a bit of magic here for the 99, as Hertel hangs on to lead that lap. But yeah, it's so interesting to see guys trying to weave their way around the track. In Hertel's case, trying to break any kind of a slipstream that Swainson and Bahm could get off of them. But they're following close, and this one I'm going to follow closely as well.
Side by side into turn 3. Hertel slid up the track just a little bit right there, but thankfully not enough to get into the 99, who is going to take the race lead there, coming off of turn 4 down the front straightaway. 11 laps to go. Dylan Baum's going to try to take advantage. Never mind. Hertel's going to go to the high side. He'll lead that lap. He'll try to get past the 99. He will. It's just a bunch of back and forth lead change maneuvers. I mean, if we literally go to the race summary right now, I think at one point we were at like 4 lead changes. We're now at 4. Oh, no, the 99!
Yeah, just kind of missed that there, but certainly he's dropped off into third. Hertel now leading. But the other point that I was going to make was, for all the leading that Dylan Bahm's done, I don't think he necessarily minds not being in the lead right this second, as that'll give him ample time to plot out his kind of final moves here as we go down to 10 laps remaining.
Swainson's going to be praying to the racing gods that hit to the outside wall coming off of turn 2, which again we've seen from multiple drivers in this race so far. I mean, it quite frankly took out the number 17 of pole sitter Corbin MacAulay. The 99 is still up there. He's still getting that run. It's as if that he's going to be hoping that hit meant nothing and didn't do any damage to his car. I mean, quite frankly, he's already begun to catch back up. But what I'm really wondering is, will the 32, 97, and the 9 begin to start catching up to these front runners?
And the 64 for that matter.
Yes.
Like, I told you they were going to factor in at some point, and I still believe that.
So that hit was practically nothing as long as he doesn't do it again. Oh, the 99 still sliding up on the high side. That's going to give Baum the advantage for the second position. Here comes Charlie Sears in the 4th position down the back straightaway with 9 laps to go in the 3rd annual Indianapolis 250. Andy Hertel still leading the way. But I would say in his position right now, he is not one bit comfortable, and he knows right now, quite frankly, whoever is the race lead coming off turn 4, it's probably not going to be their win.
Yeah, it's such a weird paradox to say that.
Swainson!
That the lead is pretty much the worst place you can be in the dying stages of, a race at Indy, right up until you see the checkered flag, essentially. You're basically a sitting duck.
With 8 laps to go, it is practically a 6-car pack that's going to be going at it now. Any one of these drivers could come out victorious. I mean, so far it's pretty much looking like the top 3 or 4-ish for sure. But again, though, we could definitely see something happen, like a crash or some incident or whatever, come through as number 32.
Hammer.
Yeah, he's trying to charge again. Earlier, we saw him moving up multiple positions, trying to do the same thing. He's trying to go from, it was like 3rd or 4th to the 1st position. That's not going to work. He's going to drop back to 3rd. Dylan Bahm taking advantage. Andy Hertel still leading the way. But here comes Ty Higginbottom, Jose Mercado. Would you look at this into turn 3?
This is a 7-car pack now. Darcy Ford.
Yeah, Ford's now coming into the play.
Yeah, this is going to be crazy. And again, now, given how much of a push we had here, maybe now that's where those 2 to 3 laps after tire life. Did someone go high there?
Jonathan Swainson to the outside wall.
Oh, man.
No caution.
Soul crushing there for the 99. He had every opportunity to win this. There's the
caution.
Okay, showtime.
That's going to change everything. We had all that pack racing going, and we probably would have had some going to the end, but oh my goodness. We're going to have a late shootout to decide this one. And again, if everyone can get back, packed together, especially for this restart, we've seen we saw in some earlier restarts that most guys were kind of spread out to begin with. But for this one, I think some drivers are going to probably not be as afraid to be a little bit closer, especially at this ending, because, again, a lot of points are going to be on the line here. Again, this is a race where you can get plenty of points. It's a perfect advantage, especially on the oval where there can be pack racing. And also as well, too, it's a crown jewel event. Every one of these drivers wants to put their name on the trophy, drink some virtual milk, and put themselves in the history books of the Canadian Motorsports Network DART Series as an Indianapolis 250 champion, especially, too, the first one on iRacing be the first annual iRacing Indianapolis 250 champion.
Yeah, this is going to be, I would suggest, a very chaotic finish upcoming, and ultimately Andy Hertel's going to have to figure out when he wants to get the drop on the field. Like we saw Dylan Bahm pretty much launch away on the last restart, and it didn't take the field too long to catch back up, but obviously time absolutely a luxury here. So if Hertel can get the drop and maybe make it a little bit more difficult for the rest of the field to catch up, he could be a two-timer, as we're going to see some tire changes.
Ooh.
Oh, last-minute decision for Mangrum to stay out.
And I was just reminded, too, no green-white checkers.
All right, so basically, once we're here,
make
all
just
out.
Yeah, just hopefully as soon as the green flag comes out, you just have to make your way to the end, plain and simple.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to finish effectively. And that was going to be the other question I had, was whether or not, there were another set of tires in play. And it seems like there's a few sets, Higginbotham, Young, and Dan Cudmore in for abbreviated stops. You'd have to think it's just for the 4 tires at this point.
Indeed, so Higginbotham might be able to have an advantage against some of these guys, but again, with time winding down, we may only have 2 laps to decide this one if the pace car lights come off at the start finish line this time around. And
yeah, typically it feels like, iRacing cautions typically operate at a standard of about 4 laps. So if that holds, then yeah, you would think we're probably looking at, as you say, a 2-lap shootout.
Okay. I know the answer that I'm probably going to get with this. I know what it probably will be. But Jordy, if you had to pick someone up front here to get it done, who the heck would you pick?
Oh my God.
I knew I was going to get that response.
That is absolutely not a question that can be answered, I don't think. I don't think it's a fair one necessarily, just with, everything that's happened. But
lights are off.
Okay, so yeah, it's coming in this time around. So it will be a 2-lap shootout is what we're saying effectively. Yeah, as much as you would want to see Andy Hertel become a 2-time Indy 250 winner, being in the lead, defending against that kind of all-out attack, that is asking for probably the best virtual drive of his life, effectively. I know it's only going to be 5 miles, but the sheer pressure, the sheer, again, attacking nature of literally everybody behind him getting lined up, ready for a charge. And he's basically doing all the work for them to, improve their speeds, get them a lot faster. Yeah, man, it's going to be a big ask for the 7 to hold on to this. I wonder if, as good as Bahm's been, he's, very capable in this position. We've seen him be an absolute ace defender over the last couple of weeks. If he does get into that position, I wonder if the overall experience and acumen of Charlie Sears gets it done.
We have a previous Indy 250 winner. We have a guy that's won 3 or 4 races so far this season. We have Charlie Sears, who's shown the speed, and he's shown, the hard. He's got, basically you would give him the hard charger award practically. but he only has 1 win so far because of a lot of other bad luck. But here we go. 2 laps to decide the 3rd annual DART Indianapolis 250. The first one on iRacing. The green flag is out. Andy Hertel leading the way, but he's going to have Dylan Bahm, Charlie Sears, Jose Mercado, Darcy Ford, and a bunch of other guys charging right behind him, although I don't know if this is going to be enough time for everyone to get together. Oh, whoa, contact back here. Seen him anchored to the wall, and Dylan Bahm to the high side to look for the lead. They're going to be side by side into turn 3. Hertel still barely hanging on. Bahm still trying on the high side, right along that right rear quarter panel up to 7. Down the front straightaway, side by side. Sears is coming down the inside of Sears. White flag is out. Final lap in the 250. Are we going to make it back under green?
Oh, man, this is an absolute dream scenario here. Jose Mercado still very much in the mix. He's made his way. Oh, into the wall!
Whoa! Charlie Sears into the wall on the final lap down the back straightaway.
He and Mercado hit hard.
Mercado also in it as well, but we're still green. We're coming back to the line. It's going to be 2 drivers going at it. Almost caught it. Oh my gosh, both are around.
No.
Darcy Ford.
Come through.
Darcy Ford is your 3rd annual DART Indianapolis 250 champion. Can you believe it?
I would suggest that Darcy Ford cannot believe that just happened. Quite honestly, what in the hell?
And Hunter Young finished 2nd. How about that too?
I mean,
what in the world?
I mean, you just trade Indy for Talladega, and Hunter Young has precedent for that. Only difference this time, he had 1 guy ahead of him, 1 guy who kept it clean. Darcy Ford navigates through all the wreckage, and I mean, I said he was a guy that's, potentially could be there. Wasn't necessarily thinking that, he would get through to the end. I had thought Sears perhaps, but, you got to keep your head in these situations. And for the first time in a little while, it's going to be the 64 in victory lane. And that is, that's bananas.
And I'm remembering, too, it was 13, 14, 15, 16. I believe Ford finished, it was 16th or 17th or something last week at the DART Indy Ontario. Very bad luck that he had at Canadian Tire. And he was 9th in points heading into this one. But he may have just pulled off the biggest victory of his career right here. Or just, well, no matter if it's the DART Series or the Canadian Motorsports Network, he joins Andy Hertel and Jared Ireland in the history books as, quite frankly, he may very well be the most unexpected Indianapolis 250 champion we have ever crowned. And holy hell, what a finish we had there. Remember, Bahm and Sears, quote-unquote, got together last week. But this time around, it was Hertel, I guess, technically. But anyways, wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally forgivable that we may not remember that. I think it's fair to say a lot of things have happened over the last 3 minutes. Oh, that was, there's going to be some things to answer for, I would suggest, in the aftermath of how that one ended. Again, Darcy Ford, he's the guy who survived it all. And, I said it felt like it was going to be a chaotic finish. I think that even went beyond my expectations.
And what a podium it is, too. I mean, Darcy Ford finishing first, Hunter Young with an incredible underdog result there in the 2nd position. Ty Higginbottom rounding out the top 3. He was patient all day. He wasn't really up there on the podium per se, he was up there. He had that speed, just not really as much as guys, like Hertel and Sears and Bahm, but he was always right there, ready to strike when it mattered. And again, he came in for a crucial moment right there, and he was able to end up at the bottom of the podium. But what matters the most is the 64 Darcy Ford. Actually, technically, the description I was saying there was actually 4th the whole time, and he just blew the engine right there. But yeah. Ford waited that whole time. He was patient the whole way through. He was up there with that speed. Not as much as some of those Top Guns, but he was able to be there clean as anything, get past that carnage we saw there on the back straightaway, and then get past the 2 wrecked cars off of turn 4 and get the job done. And, man, before we get to the unofficial results, we have to go all the way back and see what on earth just happened. And quite frankly, because of how that played out, I want to see the final. I want to see the final 2 laps. Yeah, I want the whole restart.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically 5 miles of fury here. Looks like, Hertel was doing a good job of defending. Really good.
I'll use TV1 on this one because TV2, I think, has a bit of a weird thing coming off of... Oh, Jose Mercado got into Sears and parred into the wall on the rear end.
Yeah, that was... I had seen that from the camera angle. Like, I had seen Mercado go into the wall. I didn't realize that he picked up Sears in that as well. But then, again, ultimately it comes down to 2. Here, again, Hertel and Bahm coming out of 3. And, again, this is where, first is not in the good position. Bahm immediately gets the jump and, too fast. Both gone. Just absolute meters. Oh, man, such avoiding action there at the end.
My goodness. Amazing that no one else got involved in that one right there. Quite frankly, too, with the momentum that they had coming off the turn, I honestly thought one of them was going into the end of the pit wall right there. And did Andy Hertel do something here? Give me a second. I'm going to be patient on that one. My God, those avoidances. One guy had to go into the inside wall, but he was still able to keep it straight.
Well, yeah, it was Hertel who did get spun.
Oh, okay, no, he was just going to finish. I thought he was going to go after the 3 right there. The 7 still finished.
He did. Certainly not where he thought he was going to at the very end. Like, again, he pretty much had mission accomplished in that defense. Like, it probably would have been just a straight up drag race at the line as we see Ford navigating the Mercado and Sears incident. And then, yeah, you see the gap at this point. You think you're probably content with 3rd, not really knowing what's happening ahead. And then, even Ford a little tap into the wall going into 4. He was lucky that he didn't do anything. Then he just navigates all of the spinning. And, yeah, he takes the checkered flag. He hits the bricks. He hits the wall for good measure. And, all worth it here for Senor 64. And, yeah, just sheer carnage all over the place. Ford finds his way through.
My gosh.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I'd love to have the celebratory milk, I didn't want it to get too warm over the last hour and a half, so I had to switch. But in Darcy Ford's honor, there's a hypothetical one coming his way.
The virtual milk.
Yeah, as he picks up his own virtual Borg Warner trophy.
And yes, it's been a long time coming. I guess you could say 3rd time's the charm, perhaps, for the number 64, who, again, he's had plenty of success here within the network. I mean, he's got a NASCAR championship. He's got multiple Formula 1 championships. In the DART series last year, he wound up in the runner-up position in the standings, of course. And then it was only 1 win, I believe, that he got. And Indy 250-wise, not a whole lot of success from what I can remember. You might be better with that, knowing you were there for them and I wasn't. But, yeah, 3rd time's the charm for the number 64, Darcy Ford. And with all that being said, let's go through the unofficial results of the 2023 3rd annual DART Indianapolis 250, the 1st annual one on iRacing. The number 64, Darcy Ford, is your champion in the Rolls-Royce. Hunter Young again coming out with that underdog performance in the second position. Very good patience all race. He had top 10 speed all night. Ty Higginbottom rounds out the podium. C.D. Magrum in fourth. Daniel Cudmore rounds out the top 5. He will have a top 5 in every single Indy 250 in network history. Andy Hertel, unfortunately, involved in that crash. He was going for the win late. He's still across the line in 6th. Jose Mercado, the final car to finish on the lead lap in the 7th position. He ran good all race. Unfortunately, got caught up with Charlie Sears in that incident right there. Sears ends up finishing in the 9th position. Okay, so the positions are a little messed up there. Dylan Bahm finishes 8th, actually. Charlie Sears 9th. Mike Marini rounding out the top 10. And then the rest of the way, Darcy Cudmore in 11th, 2 laps down. Jonathan Swainson in 12th, 6 laps down. Very heartbreaking there for Swainson, who had all the momentum and the pace, the speed in the world to go for that Crown Jewel Indy 250 victory. But unfortunately, he hit the wall twice. The second time around was the worst one, and he killed that right front tire. Ivan Reynolds, 6 laps down in 13th. Jason Butler, 14th. Corbin MacAulay, the pole sitter, wounds up in 15th after some speeding penalties and that crash off of turn 2. Mark Ouellette, 38 laps down in 16th. Kyle Knoll, an early DNF, 84 laps down. He finishes in the 17th and final position. And with all that being said, we might as well go to our faces here very quickly here. Give me a second. There we go. What do you have to say?
I mean, like, I'm still looking for a pack of cigarettes so I can process all that, but I might actually need to be something a little stronger. But I mean, everything that we were thinking about pretty much came to pass, to be quite honest. Like, even when, we had sizable leads over the course of the evening, it felt like, it was always just going to be a matter of time before the pack eventually caught up. And, having cautions thrown into the mix certainly didn't do anything to deter that. But I mean, it produced, an absolute spectacle over the last really 25 laps. And then, of course, the caution that led us to the 2-lap shootouts. And really, it was anybody's ball game at that point. And I can understand, there's going to be a lot of talking points coming out of this. But ultimately, the one that matters, Darcy Ford survives.
Somehow. And I mean, I asked that question to you before that late race restart, of course, where it was just like, who's going to get it? Who do you think somehow gets the job done? Like, there was Andy Hertel, there was Dylan Bahm, Charlie Sears, Jonathan Swainson was up there before that late crash. Of course, Jose Mercado was even up there. Ty Higginbottom. There were a bunch of drivers that all had the potential to get the job done, but no, it was, again, and the funny thing is, too, I remember one point I was saying, like, there were 6 cars in the pack ready to go at it before we got that late caution, and then you mentioned it turned into 7 because Darcy Ford had snuck his way in. I didn't really catch a full visual of him there, so good on you for that, and go figure that he ends up being the winner after all that. So, yeah, again, 3rd time's the charm for the guy who's been here since the very beginning with the Canadian Motorsports Network. Again, a former NASCAR champion, former multi-time Formula 1 Series champion. He was the runner-up in Season 1 for the DART Series. In Indy 250 history, he's fallen short every single time. But this time around, again, 3rd time's the charm, the number 64, which, by the way, I like to say that is my personal favorite number and also the number I like to use within racing. Darcy Ford takes it to victory lane, so how about that?
There you go. And yeah, while you were going through the end results, like, it's been a progression for him. It was 21st, if I recall, the first time around. And then he did pick up a top 5 in the second iteration of the Indy 250 with a win on the Indy road course mixed in. But, it was kind of a gradual thing. But as I say, not there at the very end. But yeah, this time, he basically just had to, again, keep it clean, navigate the chaos. And, for a guy with his experience, just his best quality has been pretty much keeping a level head over the course of the three and a half years, however long I've been seeing him drive. And, this is another example of, how that kind of came to pass, and, comes up with, outside of his Earl Ross Cup victory, I'd say this is his biggest win otherwise.
Oh, absolutely, too. And with all that being said, of course, I have to go and find out what's going through this guy's mind with the usual post-race winner interview. I don't think we were able to get it, or I don't recall if we did get it last week or not, but yeah, I think we did with Dylan Bahm. But this time around, it's the number 64, Darcy Ford. So with all that being said, I assume this is it for you, of course, Jordy. All I can say is that we were able to get the race in. We had some technical issues, but the race we just witnessed, thank goodness we were able to figure it out, because holy moly, if we weren't able to get that done tonight, man, we would have missed out on something truly special here within the Canadian Motorsports Network. So with all that being said, I still have to go and interview Darcy Ford. For you, on the other hand, that is it for you. Once again, Jordy Caraher, he's been here since the very beginning. He's on the other side of the country in Alberta, Canada. Jordy, would like to thank you very much once again for, as per usual, your integral educational and historical insights, and also the humor, as per usual, of course. So, but yeah, go drink some of that milk I saw you drinking earlier too, because I would say we're winners as well that we were able to get through this successfully without any more of those technical issues. So once again, thank you very much, and we will see you next week for the Milwaukee Mile.
Indeed. So I got to go apologize to a roommate in the meantime.
Okay. Whatever that means.
Yeah, well, yeah, there may have been some waking up on account of the late screaming, so I have to account for that. So,
come on, this isn't the exception.
I know, but yeah, we'll be good. Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, all right. Appreciate it, man. Don't go away, folks. We still have an Indy 250, a new Indy 250 champion interview, the number 64 of Darcy Ford. Stay tuned. And now we are officially back here for the post-race winner interview for the third annual DART Series, Indianapolis 250, the first ever one on iRacing, of course, within the Canadian Motorsports Network. And if you look at the driver infographic right here, this guy led one lap all race, and it was the final lap This man finally, he's been here since the very beginning within the Canadian Motorsports Network. He's, again, a former NASCAR champion, a former multi-time Formula One Series champion. In the DART Series, he finished runner-up in points last season. Indy 250, he hasn't had much success, but tonight, third time was the charm. The number 64 of Darcy Ford finally gets the job done, taking advantage of a bunch of carnage we saw there on the final lap. Man, Darcy, it's been so long since we've interviewed here at the Canadian Motorsports Network, and holy moly, man. What's going through your mind? How do you feel?
it's it's unreal. I wasn't expecting this tonight. Even on the last lap there, I wasn't really in position to even make a move for the lead. But like you said, a whole bunch of stuff happened, and I came out of it the other side and crossed the line. But this is just crazy. It's so crazy. Even when you said there I only led one lap tonight, I didn't even think about that. That hasn't even crossed my mind until you said that. So that just hard to find the words right now.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's been a long time coming for you. I know Jordy said that for sure, but knowing all that happened on the last lap, let's kind of go through the race overall and just take us your performance overall, what you were feeling with the car, and what your expectations were heading into the race, because certainly they were different than what you end up coming out of the race with, obviously. So just take us through what that race was like overall for you, and just you were there, you were kind of pinching from behind at the bottom of the top 5, slightly in the top 10, but just take us through that race, man.
Yeah, it was. I didn't know what to think going into the race, to be honest. I knew there were other drivers that were faster on the ovals than I was, that I have been, and going in, I didn't know what to expect, but I was able to keep speed, have a good pace throughout the race. There was a stint in the middle where I was with Charlie, leading Charlie around the track. We were second and third, and it was at that point that I thought maybe I had the pace to challenge for this thing. And we were actually running down, I think it was Dylan that was leading, and we were slowly getting there. And then through the pit stops, came out of the pits, and I just said to myself, this is it. This is your chance. You can do this. Of course, with the way things worked out through the pits, I wasn't really close to the lead. But as the race unfolded, we had cautions at the end. There was a little bit of carnage here and there. And we had another caution, and that set us up with 2 laps to go. And I missed the start. I just didn't get a good start. And I thought that's it. That's all. That's another race. Another one slips away. But I think it was, I don't know who Jose got into there. Jose, another car, got into her coming off of 2. I was able to get past them, and I saw Andy and Dylan just slugging it out for the win, going down the back, going into 3, and coming out of 4. It looks like they got together, and I wanted to close my eyes and just pin it to the floor and just pray, but I had to open them and get around. I think it was Andy. I have no idea who was spinning around on the front, but I got around him, and I couldn't believe coming out on the other side, there was no other cars to pass, and I crossed the line, crossed the bricks, and I couldn't believe it. It was just amazing.
So I'll ask you this then. Would you call this the biggest win of your career so far, like in the entire Canadian Motorsports Network?
Yes. Biggest win. Biggest win by far. It's been a long, long time. It's been a minute, and it's, they say this in real racing, like you never know when your last win is gonna come. And my last win was, if my memory serves me, it was back in F1, the last race of the season. And it's been a really long drought since then. And I didn't know if another one was going to come. And ever since this league has gone into iRacing, the learning curve has been extremely steep. And this win, of all things, the Indy 250, like it's not just another race. It's the Indy 250. It's really hard. It's difficult to win this, and yeah, by far the best win. the best win.
We absolutely love to hear it. And yes, of course, as you mentioned, this transition to iRacing, you obviously have been through a lot of rough patches, especially through the NASCAR series. We were seeing it with a bunch of other guys trying to transition into it, especially with you. But of course, you definitely showed improvements as the weeks went on and everything, and heading into the DART series as well on the open wheel side, knowing your open wheel experience, your resume coming over from the console side with Formula One, and also that one season, the DART racing, of course. You clearly have had the speed and the pace. It's just the luck. You're trying to figure something out with Lady Luck, but finally you got your big break here tonight. So just kind of take us what the transition's been like on the open wheel side with the DART series this season so far, how you think you performed, and what you're looking forward to, what you want to improve upon as the season goes on, especially now with all this confidence and momentum that you have from tonight's crown jewel victory.
Yeah, the momentum. This momentum is going to help the confidence, and honestly, it's all been about confidence with this car in this DART series. It's I had a conversation with Andy Hertel just before the season started, and I voiced to him that I couldn't do it. I couldn't do this car, the setups, the tracks, the feel. It just wasn't connecting with me, and I almost walked away. And Andy Hertel and even Jason Butler, they rallied around me and said, "You can do this. Just put your head down, focus, keep practicing, put the laps in, put the time in, put the effort in, keep going, keep pushing." And that's what I did. I owe a lot of this success I'm having right now to them, to those two drivers. It helps when you have good drivers around you to push you and to make you, push yourself. And that's exactly what they did. And it's been an extremely steep and hard learning curve to get a hold of just iRacing. When you jump from console to iRacing, it is just so different. It's more realistic. There's more nuances to keep track of, the intricacies of how the cars work. It's a lot to handle. And this car, the DART series car, it's an amazing car. It's so fun to drive once you get the hang of it. And these last few weeks, other than last week at Motorsport, it's that week was rough. That's the one race I really want to win in my career, and I finished last, I think. And coming into this week in the Indy and winning it, like, it really just helps me believe I can do this, and I can keep this going, and maybe even have more success. This has been the hardest part of my Canadian eMotorsports career, jumping onto this platform, but there's times like tonight where it feels like it's coming around.
We absolutely love to hear, and you getting the help from other guys. We love to see that, and also too, you a lot of you guys have also been helping some of the rookies come in here and get really comfortable themselves here within the DART series, especially for the first season on iRacing course. So we all thank you and everyone else for that, obviously. But speaking of that too, is there anyone else you want to thank for tonight's triumphant victory?
There's there's a long list. Top of the list would have to be, she would kill me if I didn't, would be my wife, Stephanie. She lets me have the time to do this.
Fair enough.
But and after that, honestly, every single driver that is in this series, I want to thank them for coming on board and staying with this league and putting all their effort into this. Tonight was a great show. We all put the effort in. We all did it. Every single guy, every single driver in this league should get applause, because we all put in the work and we all try and do our best to put on the best show we possibly can. So I just want to thank the broadcast, Regan, you, Jordy, Daniel, Andy, Jason, everybody that works behind the scenes, Corbin as well, that do a lot of work behind the scenes to get these shows up and running every week. A lot of planning and organization. It takes a lot, and you guys deserve a thank you. So thank you.
Oh, yeah, no problem. We love coming out every week and spotlighting you guys and showing off what we have here within the Canadian Motorsports Network. There's no doubt that we have some of the best talents within sim racing, especially here in Atlantic, Canada. So with all that being said, that is the post-race winner interview for the third annual DART Indianapolis 250 for the DART series on iRacing. The first ever one on iRacing, of course, here within the Canadian Motorsports Network. The third 250 in our history goes to the number 64, veteran Darcy Ford. A long time coming for this guy. He led one lap, and it was the one that mattered the most. Darcy Ford, once again, congratulations on this massive victory of yours. Go and celebrate this fine and well, especially with your wife, too. I can imagine every other driver, of course, within the series, and we will see you next Tuesday night, where hopefully you'll be able to continue this momentum throughout the rest of the season, make your way up the points. Again, we'll see you at the Milwaukee Mile next Tuesday night. Congratulations, buddy.
Thanks, Reagan. Indy 250. Woo!
Yes, sir.
Lovely stuff.
And thus, that concludes tonight's live production here of Canadian Motorsports Network DART Series action on iRacing. The number 64, Darcy Ford, pulling off an unbelievable and certainly unexpected victory here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Again, the Indianapolis 250 has always been an incredible crown jewel event here within the series, but for our first one on iRacing, that one is going to go in the history books as an absolute thriller that everyone's going to remember. I mean, quite frankly, we go to the race summary. 15 lead changes throughout the race. It was kind of around like 3 or 4 or so early on in the race, but we were able to witness something truly special here tonight. And with all that being said, we're going to take a quick look here at the schedule for where we are heading next. It is the Milwaukee Mile 125 next Tuesday night on November 7, 2023. We're going to be right back at it with Tuesday night racing. This week was an exception because, of course, tomorrow night is Halloween. So we're not going to race on Halloween night because we know a lot of drivers are parents. So that's quite reasonable, to say the least. But yes, on November 7th, on Tuesday night, we will be racing 125 laps at the Milwaukee Mile, a second week in a row on an oval, of course. As per usual, best of 2 laps for each driver, the qualifying format. And then we can basically conclude the first half of the schedule and we go into the next graphic whenever we get to the end of next week's live production. So, with all that being said, we'd like to thank everyone very much for listening and watching, tuning in to this tonight's live production of Canadian Motorsports Network Racing for the DART Series on iRacing. We apologize for the technical issues early on, but we are very grateful that we were able to get a race in at all here tonight. So on behalf of me, Regan McCauley, the main voice of the Canadian Motorsports Network, Jordy Kerher, my color commentator who's been here since the very beginning, the competition committee, the rest of the Canadian Motorsports Network, staff, drivers, and everyone else involved, sponsors even, we'd like to thank all of you for supporting us as per usual, and we will see you all next Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Atlantic for the Milwaukee Mile 125 at the Milwaukee Mile. Take care, folks. Have a good one. We hope you enjoyed tonight's third annual Indianapolis 250. Congratulations once again to the number 64 of Darcy Ford. Have a good one, folks.